Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream. We got a lot of things to go over, so let's just jump right into it. So today, the market is continues to pull back, and we can see that part of the reason, there's many reasons. We'll never really nail down every specific reason for why there's a pullback and why people are selling or why people are getting liquidated or why things are happening in the market. But we can take a look at some different clauses and pieces. We can see the Bitcoin ETF over the last, 48 hours or so, or 72.96, we've seen quite a drop as far as a negative flow. And going back to Friday, we can see that BlackRock actually sold some of its positions. And then yesterday, BlackRock, I think, did the most amount of selling it has ever done, at $292 million worth of a sell-off of their Bitcoin ETF. Then you got the usual suspects like Fidelity and Grayscale selling off. That's just what they do. Bitwise actually accumulated on the 4th of August, but on Friday, everybody across the board took massive profits. Good for them. And we're almost at $1 billion. Now, today, numbers are still out as far as the 5th of August. That was something like that. 5th of August, yeah. We can see that we don't have BlackRock or Fidelity, but we can see that our good friends at Grayscale continue to dump, and that's what they're known for. That's just the Bitcoin ETF flow. Ethereum also looking abysmal as well, 4th of August, which was yesterday. And we take a look at a total, it's $500 million out. And then again, we've got Grayscale at 15.5 million or so, and we'll see that BlackRock and Fidelity, who knows what they've done today, but that's part of the reason why you see some of these negative price action for the markets, is because people see this, they think there's something going on. They believe that, okay, somebody knows something, it spooks the markets, and they sell. That's just pretty much how it goes. But I like to take a look at this sometimes. This is from friend of the show, Wes, over at Smart Money Crypto. And this is over on Nansen.ai, and it's the stablecoin indicator. What this is that it tracks the wallets of some of the big institutions and some of the big players, not just the ETFs. It's not talking about the ETFs, but wallets for these institutions have come in. And when these wallets sell off, they have a lot of stablecoins because they don't sell into straight cash. They sell into stablecoins. They hold on the stablecoins and they spend them. Now, when they sell, you see the stablecoins go up. And we can see the usual price or the usual time frame, 2022. I don't know if you remember that time frame when everything was just getting off the highs, and then we started to sell off. Well, those sons of guns, they beat us to it and did it as well. But we can see over here that there was a little bit of a sell-off in April, a little bit in June, but right here, there really hasn't been much at all. So I'm not a big believer in smart money per se. I just think it's big money, and I think it scares the markets, but it's just something that we can take a look at. Also, which is the reason for the thumbnail of this video, short-term holder MVRV score. I had no idea this actually existed until I had Matt come on, who's the lead analyst at Bitcoin Magazine Pro. Now, we haven't talked about this, and I was supposed to release this video this Saturday. I got behind on some things. I'll be releasing it this weekend, but it was great. Matt took me through a lot of different scenarios where he pretty much said, people are going to tell you this time is different, but this, these different charts, A, B, C, D, will show you that this is why it's the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we just went down the list, and I got to tell you, it was compelling. But there's something interesting about this MVRV short-term holder and buying crypto. I want you to notice something right here. We are pretty low down to this line of where Matt talks about buying. I'm not going to ruin it. This is a 30-minute conversation that I will release this weekend. This particular instance, it's only about a minute and 10 seconds or so. I want you to listen to this so you can get a feel of what's going on, and then we'll jump back. Let me make sure that you can hear this crystal clear and get this correctly. Listen again. This is Matt, the lead analyst at Bitcoin Magazine Pro, and he makes a lot of sense here. So take a listen.
I like to point towards more strategic dollar cost averaging. So if we just look at something like this, which is the short-term holder MVRV ratio, what we can see is this gives us just a very simple ratio between the short-term holders, so those that have bought Bitcoin in the past 155 days, their average accumulation price, and the current price of Bitcoin. Now, when we look at the ratio between these two, we get the short-term holder MVRV. So what we can do is if we strategically dollar cost average, so rather than just blind dollar cost averaging in every week or every month, if you put some money to a side when we're potentially at overheated conditions, then you can strategically accumulate more as Bitcoin is potentially at a little bit more favorable price. So all I did for this analysis was prevent dollar cost averaging when the short-term holder MVRV was above a score of 1.2. And what we can see is when we look at the performance of standard dollar cost averaging from 4 years ago, compared to just, again, going all in, we can see that if you were to dollar cost average in, where's the chart gone? It was here. So it was weekly, 10, 4 years. I know, very professional, me just doing this on the fly. But we can see the Bitcoin performance from blind dollar cost averaging in would have been $2,090 invested and about $6,500 return. If we go back to the chart here, if you lump sum bought, you'd have had $5,859. If you came with this strategic dollar cost averaging strategy, which again is just accumulating when Bitcoin is beneath the 1.2 in the short-term holder MVRV, you'd have actually spent less money and ended up with even more Bitcoin, even more US dollar equivalent of Bitcoin.
So what Matt said, you could have spent less money and came away with more Bitcoin. So again, when he was talking about that, and we were taking a look at that MVRVC, it made a lot of sense for what he was saying. And I got to tell you, if I had to do it all again, I would be probably following a little bit of that. And again, if we take a look at the MVRV, we can see that we are right about at that point where we should be buying Bitcoin. Now, me personally, I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor, but I continue to buy Bitcoin. I continue to buy altcoins. I still believe we have a big, huge, fat run to go into in the end of 2025, maybe in 2026. And that's where I'm at. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And there's other stuff. There's other good news also. It's not all great. It's not all bad news. There's some good news out there. This is, looks like the SEC came out and made a statement on liquid staking activities. I think this is a precursor to the SEC to rule that staking rewards are also not a security. And if that happens, then the big institutions will come in and say, okay, we want to amend our Ethereum ETF so where we can actually stake Ethereum and actually gain yield off of that, and that'll be a game changer. But this is just for liquid staking activities, and they state as the division's view that liquid staking activities in connection with protocol staking do not involve the offer and sale of securities. And Jesse Powell was the former, I don't know if I think he's still an advisor to Kraken, says, hey, can I get a $30 million refund? And I feel bad for Jesse because he essentially had to go through the meat grinder with the SEC and they got sued. And Gary Gensler said, hey, no staking. We're going to take you to court. And he's like, okay, let's settle. And they settled and they sued him again. So, you know, that's unfortunately, that is enforcement. That is regulation through enforcement. And I feel bad for Jesse, but they came out the other end. And that's good. And if you're wondering, like, well, which ones are those? What tokens are those? Well, it's these. So you just take a look. These will probably be, this is for liquid staking. Lido DAO token, Jito, Frac Share, Lido Staked ETH, Lido Wrapped Staked ETH, Wrapped Bacon, just kidding, Wrapped Beacon, Jito Stake Soul, Rocket Pool, Bounce Bit, Kelp DAO, Liquid, I don't even know what the heck these are. There's so many. Treehouse ETH, Frac Staked, Anchor, I remember that one. Rocket Pool, Edgevana, Benki, PZ ETH. Well, congratulations if you got some of that, because now you're in, looks like clarity for the guidelines of liquid staking. So great news. And then also getting down into the altcoins, there's been a lot of questions about Midnight. There's going to be an airdrop from, looks like this is in conjunction in some way, but not really, with the Cardano Foundation. Midnight is coming, and that is for a privacy token. They're going to be doing an airdrop. This is for Cardano holders. This is for Bitcoin holders. This is for XRP. This is for BNB and a whole host, a slew of things. And I am not participating in it. I've talked about this enough, but I get a bunch of questions about it. And I don't want to leave everybody high and dry. So, well, first of all, this actually came from Midnight. They said, hey, just so you know, things are screwing up with our cold storage devices that we were supposed to have a nice connection with. And they state for Midnight, the development team working on the Glacier drop identified that neither one of the two hardware wallets tested currently supports the specific message signing standard required to verify ownership of Cardano network addresses. As a result, hardware wallet support for ADA is not happening. We are working with one of them is Ledger. I got the other one, and that's not happening. So what I want to do is, and I said this here, if you want some information on it, just follow the experts. And that is Cardano with Paul. And he's already put some great information. I linked his YouTube channel in the description, and he will walk you through the whole process. Also, that's of course his YouTube. Big Pay, or Peyton, he was on the show, gosh, 1 month ago, and we talked about Midnight, what it is. He's done a fantastic job of walking everybody through it, and of course this hiccup with the cold storage devices. I'm sure they have some information. So I will not be participating at Midnight. I've said why, and I've given you 2 resources, quality resources, and you can go from there. And also, I would also like to note that this is a funny thing about utility. Here in the space that we're on, we always talk about, okay, what is the utility? What does this do? Is it ghostware? Is it vaporware? Is it a ghost chain? Does it do anything? And with World Mobile, it does. And with that, I have phone service with them. I just started this roughly a week ago, and they just rolled it out nationwide. So this is a funny thing. If you are into decentralization and you're into Web3, and this is something that you'd like to support, well, here's your opportunity. So World Mobile just rolled it out, and you can activate this cell phone service. It covers 99.9% of the United States. And this is what you get: unlimited calls, text, and data, up to 30 gigs of priority high-speed data, up to 5 million SIM swap insurance. I think that's pretty big, especially as we've heard about these SIM swaps, people losing their life savings. So $5 million in SIM swap, pretty big deal. Access to premier staking. You will be able to stake the World Mobile token and use that for your billing. This is why we should get into it. Up to 100% World Mobile token bonus if you commit for a year. And then you also have VPN built in. And I just said, hey, try getting that with your current carrier. So hats off to World Mobile. It's looking pretty good. And you're like, well, how much does that cost? Well, I linked the website in the description, and you can peruse and do your own research on this. This is what it is. You got Essential USA. It's $59 a month. You get that's 99% of the USA, built-in SIM security, unlocked premier staking, no contracts. You get the 5 million in security or in insurance. You also get the VPN, and that's good. Advanced USA, the one I signed up for, was $85. I probably should have went the Essential. It's roughly the same thing. It's just you get 30 gigs of priority high-speed data. I've already used the data. I have no problems so far. And then you get global access for data only, which is $70 a month. So your next question is probably, okay, Rob, well, is this available only in the United States? And I asked this exact same question. And World Mobile said, yes, US is voice, text, and data. Global, over 70 countries, is data only. And there was a list. I don't know why they... here it is. Here's the country list. Albania, Algeria, Armenia, Australia, Austria, Azerbaijan, nailed it. Belarus, Belgium, Bosnia, Herzegovina, nailed it. Bulgaria, I messed it up. Bulgaria, Canada, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech, Denmark, Estonia, Faroe Islands, Finland, France, Georgia, Germany, Ghana, Greece, Guernsey, Godly, it's everywhere. Just go look at it yourself. It's on I'm not going to read all that. So congratulations for World Mobile for doing what they say they're going to do, having actual utility on a decentralized chain and doing Web3 service. And what does that do for the price of World Mobile? Watch out, watch out. Not a damn thing. So World Mobile token is ranked number 446, and it goes on my thesis, which is this. It seems like this is all speculation. I'm not here to condemn anybody. That's just the nature of the beast. But I am happy that World Mobile did it, and I have service, and it works like it's supposed to, and I can stake my World Mobile tokens, and I can use that in my bills. It's just awesome. Now, does that mean that the price of the token should go up? Yes, it should, but it doesn't. That's just not how it is. And hopefully more companies do the same thing. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And then lastly, to finish up before we do a little Q&A, is Litecoin. There was a big push for Litecoin today, and I couldn't figure it out. And this is why. So MEI Pharma, I don't know if that's called Me Pharma, My Pharma, Mia, I don't know. They just bought $100 million of Litecoin, and they are going into the treasury asset game, just like MicroStrategy and other businesses like Fundstrat or Tom Lee and Fundstrat BitMine, as they put Ethereum on. Now we're using Litecoin. Other companies are using Solana. And now we've got Litecoin $100 million with Charlie Lee, who was timed the top perfectly with Litecoin in 2017, and GSR is lead investors. So just so you know, MEI said its treasury strategy focuses on Litecoin due to its 13-year record of uninterrupted uptime, low fees, and fast settlement. You know, we forget about that, don't we? We forget about how great Litecoin actually is. And I really should be looking at this a little bit harder. I have to apologize for the Litecoin holders. I've kind of dismissed it. But yeah, has had no downtime. Speaking of which, Base just had its first downtime for 30 minutes. And people were freaking out, but I reminded them that, hey, it's doing a lot better than any bank I've ever had in my life. Try doing anything on the weekend with the banks. 30 minutes for Base, whatever. And of course, inevitably, some people will say Solana, but hey, it's doing so good so far. But back to this Litecoin thing. The company also cited Litecoin's integration to platforms like BitPay, PayPal, and Robinhood as validation of its utility. So this is great news for Litecoin and Litecoin holders. So congratulations to everybody. You're doing a great, just holding on. And I wanted to take a look at, because I'm always curious for these companies. This is a pharmaceutical company. I don't know exactly which medications that they actually are producing, or I know they have one. It's an anti-cancer med that's in the pipeline. So they're probably going through phase 3 studies. Regardless, I want to take a look at their stock history just to see where they're at. Because just seeing these companies, did they just do this as like, something to bolster up the stock? Well, you be the judge of that. So today they're actually down, MEI Pharma. Over 5 days, really chopping sideways. But after a month, you say, well, okay, well, July 15 wasn't great. How about 6 months? Oh, okay, kind of flat. And then something happened right here, whatever that was. Maybe there was some news. Maybe there was somebody knew something. Of course, somebody knew something. How about a year? How about 5 years? How about max? Jesus, this looks like a meme coin. Just kidding. So, yeah, that's MEI Pharma. And looks like they've done not too much until this little news about Litecoin. But hey, Litecoin's great. Good for you guys. And lastly, before we get out of here, I'm going to do a quick video for people who are just hearing about, or they've heard about Bitcoin, they've heard about crypto, but they want to know like how to get into it. So I put together a quick presentation. I'm going to do a video, but I'd like to hear some feedback from you guys. There's a link in the description for this presentation. You can only view it. You can't make any changes, but just go through it and tell me what you think about this as I talk about, where money comes from, and so people don't get confused, because I had a friend say, hey, I can't afford $113,000 for a Bitcoin. I explained it's kind of like pennies. And then I explained about inflation and why Bitcoin's so important and how things move and over time and how you're getting screwed over. And I'm going to walk them through Kraken. So just look through that and give me some feedback in the comment section. But that's it for today. So look, a lot of stuff. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Everything we talk about is time sensitive. Now let's go over for everybody's favorite part, the Q&A. All right. Seth says with ETFs coming, and Seth is right. There are a lot of ETFs in the pipeline that I just didn't cover today, but just know that it seems like with the SEC, with Atkins coming in and with the CFTC and them working together, and then Hester Pierce, well, she's working with the SEC. It seems like we're in that point where not only are we going to get a lot of companies going public, an IPO, and we talked about this yesterday, but we should see a lot of ETFs come through. And the most exciting thing I can think of is actually when they make an amendment to the current ETFs for Ethereum and say, hey, we want the ability to stake, gain yield, and give those to our ETF holders. I think that's a huge play. And that's, I think, why the ETF of Ethereum didn't do so well in the beginning, because that's what they thought they could get, and then the reality slapped them in the face. And I guess got that. All right. GTA Blunt. Is Bitcoin going to crash? It's probably not going to go up in a straight line, but it's anybody's guess if it's going to go down. I'm thinking that we're going to see some more volatility, and it really does rest on the macro environment and how the economy is cooling. We have a slightly rising inflation rate. We have a slightly rising unemployment rate. We have job numbers that, because they got revised, are now in the tank. Also, we had the person that oversees that was fired. And of course, tariff is coming down the tubes. And it looks like there's some deals that China that are stonewalling because of different issues that are happening in China. So it's not so much our markets that are the issue, it's the macro and, you know, geopolitical experts that are just unsure. I think that's one of the bigger problems. Hey, so this is about more dog. Tony Michael says because Nas is here. That's great. Nas is here. Meme is here. Krantz is here. Man, I stopped trying to convert the uneducated years ago. Better thing to do with my time. Me and Krantz are on the same wavelength. I want to put this video together and make it like 5 to 6, maybe 7 minutes, and just show them like, look, this is why you're going to get screwed unless you get into assets. That's the big thing. This is why you've been hoodwinked this whole time about inflation. It doesn't come from these massive corporations. It doesn't come from what Elizabeth Warren is talking about, these evil bankers. Where it really comes from, I'm going to quote Milton Friedman, 1976 Nobel Prize winner for economics. It's made in one place and one place only. That's right here in Washington. So when they understand that and how the government is screwing them, I think it's an easy transition to Bitcoin. Let's see. Heather says, why is MicroStrategy doing so bad after earnings? I'm not for sure, but I know that if you got an early, you're pretty happy with it. I did read a report, and I was going to talk about it today, but I decided against it because it was for time. But there is no proof of reserves over at MicroStrategy. They're saying that they don't want to do a proof of reserves. And the reasoning was actually pretty reasonable. And it was because Michael Saylor and the CEO, I forget his name, I forget his name. They said that because everybody in the markets hangs so much and they're so acutely aware of what's going on, especially through X, and they gave an example of Galaxy Digital. As one person sold off 10,000 Bitcoin, the market went crazy. I would dispute that and say, no, that's not actually true. The 10,000 Bitcoin that was sold by an individual in Galaxy Digital, the market didn't go crazy. There wasn't a huge, massive crash. It actually absorbed this quite well. So I don't know the reasoning behind that. I guess it was reasonable. But they said that they're trying to do all these different projects and they don't have the staff to do it, which I find very kind of uneasy because they are like a multi-billion-dollar company, especially with Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And they said they're just not going to do it. They're going to look for ways to be more transparent. That could be a reason, or there could be some other types of things down the hallway. But I would just say that I like Michael Saylor, I like what he's doing, I like MicroStrategy. However, you know, there's a lot of vibes coming off that are kind of feeling like 2022. And I might be persecuted for that and lambasted, but it's just some of the things that I think of because I have PTSD from 2022. And I'm going to be cautious. So I'll just bring it to you, and you all are smart enough to make up your mind and decisions. All right. Mary, it takes a long time to understand this industry. It does. But it really comes down to is just like that video that we saw with Matt when we were talking about the MVRV Z-score. And, you know, he really broke it down pretty simply about, and Mary makes a good point. It's difficult to understand this industry, especially when we start to get into altcoins. But if you just stick with Bitcoin and you're like kind of like new and getting your feet wet, or you just like, I'm tired of getting burned with all these crazy altcoins that suck, maybe it's just time to really take a real hard look at Bitcoin. Like I have it at 75 to 80% of my portfolio. It seems to fluctuate because the alts, they start to bleed a little bit more, and sometimes they do well, but you know, I still have 25% or 25% as alts. And those would include things like ETHEREUM, BNB, Cardano, Solana, SWI, Hyperliquid, Avalanche, stuff like that. I mean, reasonable stuff. I don't have a bunch of fart coins, sorry. But it takes a while to understand, but there's some basic principles. And those are in the rules underneath me. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Everything is scam until proven otherwise. Don't use exchange. Don't leave thing on exchanges. Use a cold storage device. Don't use leverage, and take profits along the way because nobody ever went broke taking profits. You follow those 5 rules, you should be pretty good. Okay. And then Krantz says, starting this again, caution is a must. Caution is a must. Brian says, no, Virginia, there is no all season. Brian might be right. I'm not under the belief, like I want to believe that we're here because of the utility, like with World Mobile, right? And the things that we talked about. However, maybe we're not. But I just don't see like altcoins running like they used to, because I think a lot of the retail got burned in 2021 with the collapse of all the exchanges. Then they got really burned with all the meme coins. And now they're coming back to like, oh, I've heard of this game and I'm not going to play it. And I'm going to get into some things that actually did pretty well for me. That's why I like the Dino coins. I like the Cardanos and the Solanas, the Ethereums now, because people are like, those are still around? Damn, when I bought that, it was X amount of dollars. Maybe I should get back into it. That's why I think it's going to do well. Let's see. And also XRP, sure. All season starts in September. I can see that. Have you heard of Caspa? Heard of it. I own it. Let's see. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Chainlink. Chainlink I don't have a lot of, even though I think that is another prime example of a token or a coin that has massive, massive utility, and the price does not reflect that. Uzi says, does using cold storage affect Bitcoin prices? I feel like they keep selling the same Bitcoin to multiple people because 9% keeps on exchanges. So it's one of those things where it doesn't affect the price per se, because you got to buy it somewhere. Retail moves the price because we're not buying OTC and we don't do like these little microtransactions, which is what MicroStrategy did back in 2020. I don't know if you knew this, but they talked to Coinbase. They sat down with Brian Armstrong and said, what we should do here is we should make a regimented approach, and we are going to not buy in big bulks, but every so many minutes, we're going to buy X amount of Bitcoin, and we're going to slowly buy that and putting it into our custodial service, which is you guys. And that's what happened. Now, I think what is happening these days is that people are selling their Bitcoin because they don't want to deal with the hackers. They don't want to deal with the wrench attacks. And let's be honest. Let's say you've got, I don't know, millions of dollars in Bitcoin, and it's on some device that's just hanging around your house. And you're like, you know what? Shoot, if anybody figures that out, I could be wrench attacked and I could lose it just like that, because it's so easy to transfer from one wallet to another, do a mixer, and then you're gone. We've already seen this story. So there's been reports, and it makes sense to me, that people are just selling their Bitcoin, going right to BlackRock, going right to Fidelity, going to the different ETF providers and saying, hey, I have millions of dollars. I'd like to buy an ETF of Bitcoin. And I'd like to get the exposure, but not the risk. Right this way, sir. Fill out some paperwork. Also, we're going to have Coinbase custody your Bitcoin, just like they do for everything else. And then you see a lot of sells, but it goes right to the ETFs. And nothing wrong with that. I know some people hate it, but I don't. I'm just happy people are here. Let's see. Caspa has smart contracts as of August 31st. Just made it. I'm giving up on crypto after this run, except for IRA purchasing. I don't blame you, Mr. Meaner. I don't. Yeah. Not everybody can be a Marine. That is true. Hello from Aussie town, Australia. Like in VeChain. Looks pretty good. It's actually a very old token. It's been around or a coin's been around for quite some time. Memes got the same problem I thought Parcel, PRCL, would be a real world asset thing, but I have not done anything but sync. Is Parcel the one for real estate, as a tokenized real estate, like you have like a REIT, like a real estate investment trusts, stuff like that? I think that's what Parcel does. And it's one of those things where you're like, why doesn't this thing? Let's see. Well, meme is not wrong, that's for sure. You know, it's never good when you open up CoinMarketCap to take a look at a coin and you see this as the GIF for what it represents. I'm sorry, meme. That's funny. Damn, that sucks. How about a month? Okay. Well, how about a year? Okay. How about all? Okay, gotcha. All right, that sucks. Let's see. What's the website? What does this thing do? Yeah, that's it. I remember these guys. Yeah, faster, simpler, smarter real estate. Again, you tokenize an asset, You're able to invest into it. Anybody can do it, as opposed to like credit investor or whatever. But REITs are pretty common as well. 20 available now. Available deals. Maybe this needed something better. At the end of the day, these are all businesses, right? And sometimes it's like I've always said, like you go down the street to this great restaurant, fantastic Mexican food is the best, right? Nobody really knows about it yet. Service is fantastic. Prices are reasonable. Food is off the charts. Come back in a month, packed. You got to wait. Couldn't believe it. You sit down. Price a little bit more expensive. Service is still great. Food is awesome. You go back 4 to 6 months. Nobody's there. Get a table. Prices are reduced. Not too bad. You go back in a year. There's a sign that says for lease and it's gone. What happened? Anything can happen. And that's the whole thing with all these different projects, except Bitcoin. Things can go under. Adoption doesn't happen. There's a hack. There's an embezzlement charge. Who knows? And this is just, now we're getting to that stage of price discovery and speculation to actually real world utility and show me what you do. Hopefully it works out. Ryan Bull said that's what Plan. Yeah, I remember Plan B did that post on X. He said, I guess I'm not a Bitcoin maxi because not your keys, not your crypto. I just don't want to deal with it. And he was right. iTRUST is great. I still use them. Actually, they're doing a big fat chunk of custodial service for my crypto, mostly Bitcoin. And it's great because they're doing the custody for free. Well, Rob, nothing's for free. You are right. They're custodying it for free using the same custodial service that BlackRock and MicroStrategy is using, which is Coinbase Prime. But when I sell or when I take it out, I will have a charge of 1%, which I have no problems with because I've had friends who have lost their entire life savings, multiple friends, multiple people I know. And I'm not going to be that guy. I will let somebody else handle it. Because at the end of the day, when Bitcoin goes to 5 million per one coin, I'll be like, hey, here's your 1%. Thank you for not allowing me to get shafted or to get wrench attacked or something else to happen to me. If you're curious about that, there's a link in the description. It's called Portfolio Diversification. It's one of my 9 or 10 crypto critical videos. Damn. Mr. Meter's been in since 2016. Now that person knows a lot. What not to do. JP Smile says, have you ever gotten involved in pre-sales? Oh yeah, I've done pre-sales. And I talk about those over on D.A.N. Very few actually work out. You know why? It's because I do these pre-sales. There's a lockup period for people like me. I mean, suckers like me who agree to it. And I just can't dump on everybody, even though some days I'd like to. So it's like, sometimes it's like, okay, once we do a TG, token generation event, then you got to wait 6 months. And then on top of that, it's 10% every month for 18 months. Great. One of the big ones that I thought would do really well, which didn't, was Sweatcoin. Remember that one? It was great. My tokens are locked up for 5 years. 5 years. They get released every so many months, but yeah. And I was excited about it at first, but again, it's just like that restaurant on the street. What are you doing? Show me what you do. Are you growing? Are you advancing? What's been done? And there's a reason why I don't talk about it, because not too much has happened. I know people, maybe they're going to watch this from Sweatcoin, but you guys haven't done much that I've seen. And I'm very disappointed. So that's that. Caspa has smart contracts and what? Oh, good. Started in Pilates. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money we have. If we're unhealthy, who cares, right? Healthy person has 1,000 wishes, and a sick person only has one, just to be healthy. I love the mood swings in crypto. Me too. Are you validating for midnight, Rob? So we have our stake pool over at D News. We're probably doing everything we possibly can with midnight, but I will not be walking people through the process. Let's explain why. So good luck to everybody with that midnight stuff. How much is one midnight token going to be worth? It's a great question. So we'll see. Michael says, what happened to all the gaming hype? I think it's the same. Gaming's still there. It can do very well. But the question you have to ask yourself is, what happened to all the metaverse hype? Remember that? Woo, good times. Whatever happened to the NFT hype? Again, good times. Yeah, just didn't work out. It's okay. I'm used to it. I like Chainlink. I like Chainlink too. Maybe I get burned. Uzi says, since PR is not a part of the 50 states, I guess there are no state taxes, only federal. Is it true? Well, it's a commonwealth, and Meme can back me up. You still are going to have income tax. You're still going to have real estate tax, and there's taxes on everything over there. And of course, every food item is imported, so you're paying through the nose over there. Puerto Rico is an expensive place to live, let me tell you. But yeah. And then if you're like me, an Act 60 person, there's no capital gains tax per se, but if you make over a certain amount of money, you have to hire somebody, and also you have to give X amount to specific charities that the government of Puerto Rico dictates that you can, which one would be Protechos. Another one is Amigos de los Animales. And yeah, taxes, no matter where you go, they'll get you. Unless you're in Dubai for some reason, but you're essentially living on the surface of the sun. Let's see. TP hand. TP hand. Subscribe, have a good night, and congrats to being mega wealthy, especially after this cycle. Yeah, congratulations, everybody. I think we're going to be there. Crazy cycle high competition like SWI versus Solana, Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Yeah, I used to see it like that. Like, there's like a competition. I think everybody does something a little bit differently, right? Like, Bitcoin, that's your store of value type of play, right? Ethereum is more of your stable world computer. And you can grow and do a lot of things now as far as smart contracts. SWI and Solana are the next gen, essentially for the same thing for smart contracts, and able to do massive transactions at low fractionalized cost and extremely quick. There's some pluses and some downsides with that. One of the downsides is that if it's so cheap, you can essentially spam the network. Because it's pennies, it's fractions of pennies. So if you're a scammer or a hacker, you do a lot of things with that. Very hard to do that on Ethereum, when gas fees are like $7-8 a pop. And that's just now. Wait till we get into the bull run. So I think everything has its place. It's just trying to figure out what the right product fit is. Ooh. No one eats the Cardano. I still like Cardano. Everything is fine till it ain't. Estimate of one midnight token? Sure. I love these. I love doing these price predictions. I'm really good at them. I'm not going to toot my horn, but so far, since 2023, I've been undefeated. So midnight token will be somewhere between 0.00000001 and $32.50. Somewhere in that range, I'm pretty sure. Champion. Let's move up the range. Nice. Mike's eager to bust out the rifles and the pistols. Farcoin will have smart contracts next year. I can't wait to see the memes on that. ADA is solid and safe. Ken's correct. Why do people fade Injective? I was at the summit repping my firm. It was insane. It's a good question. I think Injective is also backed by Mark Cuban and a whole host of different big money players. So I don't own any of it, but I got a lot so far of other stuff. Hopefully it does well. Chris says, I wish you could send to iTRUST directly from an exchange. Well, it's not a funny thing. There's two things with iTRUST can do. One is a traditional or a Roth IRA retirement account, and that you can't send in your crypto. You have to liquidate. If you have it that way, use cash, put it that way. And I think that is there's a reason for everything that iTRUST does. It's because they're really big on compliance, which really saved them during the 2022 nonsense that happened. So that's the one part. And the other part is iTRUST custody. And with custody, I just sent my Bitcoin right in. And I didn't have to liquidate or anything. Here you go. And we did some test transactions and I worked with the team. Also, it was great because, and it's not just me, like if you want to talk to somebody at iTRUST, they just hired like 32 new people. This is crazy. They just hired 32 new people just to answer the phone and walk you through process and answer all your questions. And it's pretty nice. I saw that when I went to California. I was like, wow, so this is what Coinbase was supposed to do. All right, nice. Da-da-da. LT hasn't started. Please dump on there. Yeah. Techo is right. Techo Echo. iTRUST just made an IRA account available. It's been about 1-2 months. Yes. Yeah. Retro says, unfortunately, iTRUST custody only allows redemptions in USD, no in kind. So this is why it's actually not unfortunately, and you should, and I would change it to fortunately, and this is why. We know the stories about the hacks. It is so easy to take Bitcoin, Ethereum, name your favorite altcoin, put it into a wallet, wrench attack somebody, be a scammer, be a social engineer attack, whatever it is, put it to a wallet, put it through a mixer, send it somewhere, and you're long gone. Easy. You don't have to leave your house, right? When iTRUST does this with cash, and I have to cash out, let's just take me as an example. I say, okay, I want to transfer, I want to sell, or I want my Bitcoin back. Okay, well, we can't send it to you back. It's custody. We can send it to you in cash. Okay. And it has to be you, and it has to be in your account that you signed up with, and it only can be cash. And here's the bank that we have on record. Great. First of all, it's going to be a pain in the A to do that. And the reason is because banks suck. Anything over $10,000, which I have just a little bit over that, is going to be a massive pain. So if I'm getting wrench attacked or something like that, and they want the cash, first of all, they have to follow me to the bank and get it, shoot me or something, as opposed to just putting it into a wallet. Then if they're like, okay, I'm not going to take the physical cash. I want you to put it in your account and then transfer it to my account and my bank account. Great. Well, you're a moron, because if you have a bank account, you did a KYC and an AML. So if I send it to whatever, Magnolia Thunder Johnson, whatever his name is, and they're like, oh, Magnolia Thunder Johnson, guess what? You just got X amount of money. Where did this come from? We don't understand. You know they're going to call you. And then if I have to get the authorities involved, well, that's very easy to move around. So in this case, it's a fortunately, I know it sounds weird, but in this day and age, it's a fortunate thing. It's not how much you make, it's how much you can keep. And that's the big thing. Crypto is going mainstream. Okay. I hope so. Yeah. Fidelity now allows crypto withdrawal and deposit like going to cash. I guess. But Gregory says, be careful everyone who invests in XRP. XRP is a big scam. It will fall down to 50 cents per XRP. It's doing pretty good so far. Just saying. Again, speculation, price discovery. Dan, do you have a vid on moving digital assets from one exchange to iTRUST? I don't, but I don't need one. Because if you're doing crypto from an exchange to iTRUST, they will walk you through it. Like, you don't need me. You just call iTRUST, and like, I'll show you. It's not hidden. It's what was in support? Oh yeah. Just scroll all the way down. And see here. Just call this number, 562-600-8399. I mean, not right. Well, they might be open now. I don't know. It's California time, so that's an hour back. But they'll pick up the phone. Hello, this is blah, blah, blah. And then just say, hey, I want to do this thing. How do I do that? And they'll say, well, is this a good thing for you? Let's walk through this. And how do you want to do this? And, okay, just do this, 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 this. And if you have questions, call me back. And that's it. Sometimes you go above and beyond. Tell my wife that. She would never believe you. Thanks, Rob. I'm just kidding. My wife's great. Seth says, unless you own gold or silver, only Bitcoin or a few of the reliable blockchains with truly decentralized communities can provide an alternative safety method. That's the big truth. Well said. You're welcome. Gregory is still on the XRP thing. Good point, Chaitown. And Michael says it right. Let's leave it here. Let's give up to Seth. Great comments today. Everybody, that's it for tonight. If you like today's video, thumbs up, subscribe. And again, if you do be so kind, there are links in the description, which very easy to find. One is if you want to find out about Midnight, just check out Paul or Big Pay. There's their YouTube channels. If you'd like to look at World Mobile and maybe switch over, I've had it for about a week now. I've had no problems. Even downtown El Paso, which is essentially hop, skip, and jump to Mexico. No problems with cellular or data. And then if you could be so kind as take a look at this, which is a presentation I'm giving about for newbies and crypto and how to do things. So take a look at that. Give me some feedback in the comments of what I missed. That's it for tonight. Thanks, everybody, and I will see you on the next one. Adios.